Good morning. It's Wednesday, and we're going to read chapter 14 and 15. Chapter 14 is called Badger Has Doubts. Just one more visit, cried Mr. Fox. And I'll bet I know where that'll be, said the only small fox left now. He was the smallest fox of them all. Where? Said Badger. Well, said the smallest fox, we've been to Bogus and we've been to Bunce, but we haven't been to Bean. It must be Bean. You are right, said Mr. Fox, but what you don't know is which part of Bean's place we're about to visit. Which? They both asked together. Aha, said Mr. Fox, just you wait and see. They were digging as they talked. The tunnel was going forward fast. Suddenly Badger said, Doesn't this worry you just a tiny bit, Foxy? Worry me, said Mr. Fox. What? All this stealing. Mr. Fox stopped digging and stared at Badger, as though he'd gone completely dotty. My dear furry old chump, he said, do you know anyone in the whole world who wouldn't swipe a few chickens if his children were starving to death? There was a short silence while Badger thought deeply about this. You are far too respectable, said Mr. Fox. There's nothing wrong with being respectable, Badger said. Look, said Mr. Fox, Bogus and Bunce and Bean are out to kill us. You realize that, I hope. I do, Foxy, I do indeed, said the gentle Badger. But we're not going to stoop to their level. We don't want to kill them. I should hope not, indeed, said Badger. There they are having a talk. We wouldn't dream of it, said Mr. Fox. We shall simply take a little food here and there to keep us and our families alive, right? I suppose we'll have to, said Badger. If they want to be horrible, let them, said Mr. Fox. We down here are decent, peace-loving people. Badger laid his head to one side and smiled at Mr. Fox. Foxy, he said, I love you. Thanks, said Mr. Fox. And now let's get on with the digging. 5 minutes later, Badger's front paws hit against something flat and hard. What on earth is this? He said. It looks like a solid stone wall. He and Mr. Fox scraped away at the soil. It was a wall, but it was built of bricks, not stones. The wall was right in front of them, blocking their way. Now, who in the world would build a wall underground? Asked Badger. Very simple, said Mr. Fox. It's the wall of an underground room. And if I'm not mistaken, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Chapter 15, Bean's Secret Cider Cellar. Mr. Fox examined the wall carefully. He saw the cement between the bricks was old and crumbly, so he loosened a brick without much trouble and pulled it away. Suddenly, out from the hole where the brick had been, there popped a small, sharp face with whiskers. Go away, it snapped. You can't come in here. It's private. Good Lord, said Badger, it's Rat. You saucy beast, said Mr. Fox. I should have guessed we'd find you down here somewhere. Go away, shrieked Rat. Go on, beat it. This is my private pitch. Shut up, said Mr. Fox. I will not shut up, shrieked Rat. This is my place. I got here first. There's the rat. Mr. Fox gave a brilliant smile, flashing his white teeth. My dear Rat, he said softly, I am a hungry fellow, and if you don't hop it quickly, I shall eat you up in one gulp. That did it. Rat popped fast back out of sight. Mr. Fox laughed and began pulling more bricks out of the wall. When he had made a biggish hole, he crept through it. Badger and the smallest fox followed him in. They found themselves in a vast, damp, gloomy cellar. This is it, cried Mr. Fox. This is what? Said Badger. The place is empty. Where are the turkeys? Asked the smallest fox, staring into the gloom. I thought Bean was a turkey man. He is a turkey man, said Mr. Fox, but we're not after turkeys now. We've got plenty of food. Then what do we need, Dad? Take a good look around, said Mr. Fox. Don't you see anything that interests you? Badger and the smallest fox peered into the half-darkness. As their eyes became accustomed to the gloom, they began to see what looked like a whole lot of big glass jars standing upon shelves around the wall. They went closer. They were jars. There were hundreds of them, and upon each one was written the word cider. We're so close to the end, I can hardly turn the page. The smallest fox leaped high in the air. "Oh, Dad," he said, "look what we found. It's cider." "Exactly," said Mr. Fox. "Tremendous," shouted Badger. "Bean's secret cider cellar," said Fox. "But go carefully, my dear. Don't make any noise. This cellar is right underneath the farmhouse itself." "Cider," said Badger, "is especially good for badgers. We take it as medicine. 1 large glass 3 times a day with meals, and another at bedtime." "It will make the feast into a banquet," said Mr. Fox. While they were talking, the smallest fox had sneaked a jar off the shelf and had taken a gulp. "Whoa," he gasped. "Woo-wee!" Now you must understand this was not the ordinary weak, fizzy cider one buys in the store. This was the real stuff, a home-brewed, fiery liquor that burned your throat and boiled in your stomach. "Ah," gasped the smallest fox, "this is some cider." "That's quite enough of that," said Mr. Fox, grabbing the jar and putting it to his own lips. He took a tremendous gulp. "It's miraculous," he whispered, fighting for breath. "It's fabulous. It's beautiful." "It's my turn," said Badger, taking the jar and tilting his head back. The cider gurgled and bubbled down his throat. It's like melted gold," he cried. "Oh, Foxy, it's like drinking sunbeams and rainbows." "You're poaching," shrieked Rat. "Put that down at once. There'll be none left for me." Rat was perched upon the highest shelf in the cellar, peering out from behind a huge jar. There was a small rubber tube inside the neck of the jar, and Rat was using the tube to suck out the cider. "You're drunk," said Mr. Fox. "Mind your own business," shrieked Rat. "And if you great clumsy brutes come messing about here, we'll all be caught." There's the rat up on his shelf. "Get out and leave me to sip my cider in peace." At that moment they heard a woman's voice calling out in the house above them. "Hurry up and get that cider, Mabel," the voice called. "You know Mr. Bean doesn't like to be kept waiting, especially when he's been out all night in a tent." The animals froze. They stayed absolutely still. Their ears pricked, their bodies tense. Then they heard the sound of a door being opened. The door was at the top of the flight of stone steps leading down from the house to the cellar. And now someone was starting to come down those steps. You'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out what happens.